that part about walking downtown, you're absolutely right. It's like our backyard. Great, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's the backyard that you need to wear your sweats in, or you need to wear your pants in. So,
You don't have to wear your pants, Jim.
I
If you
mean, like,
don't
what
wanna wear your pants, dude, let that freak flag fly and just go out there with
true.
no pants,
The
no
tr the truth
pantalones.
but the truth is there's a police station just right down the way, and my brother is a sergeant
Ah,
at that police station, so it would be super awkward at Christmas if it turned out that he had arrested me for being out on the boulevard without pants on. It'd be a great
y
story, I'm sure.
it would be great ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to your favorite podcast. Just kidding. Welcome to the Dad Religion Podcast. I'm Jason, that's Jim. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. How are you doing today? I always say I'm doing
I'm
pretty good. I just wanna, like, qualify that I kinda feel like the world's a little shaky right now, but I feel okay. Spend some time with the family this weekend. Tonic, always is. How you doing?
Yeah, yeah. I'm doing all right. I'm putting in new slider on my house, the new
Mm,
front door,
interesting. Oh,
and trying to get my house ready to sell because I think I'm gonna sell it, and that's the end goal. Right now is not the time, but soon, soon.
so what's the plan for selling your house?
What do you mean? What's the plan? To get into a bigger house,
Alright. Okay, still in Texas.
but possibly rent
Okay,
for right now.
okay.
Save up money, rent. Once the time comes to buy, we'll figure that out at the time of where we're gonna buy and what we're gonna buy and to where we're gonna be.
That's interesting. Did I tell you that Christine and I are gonna be moving in with Bella and Luca and, grandbaby to come?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work.
It is going to, which is why she needs to be with people that can help her out a bit on this. And Sophie is moving home, I think I mentioned that, and she's actually going to take over our apartment that we've been in for about 15 years, which is really cool for her because she's super, she's young, she's living with her boyfriend, and they're right here by the village. That would be an awful lot of fun to be young and single and live down here.
Hell yeah. Where you guys live is perfect. You can walk anywhere, you can go play arcades, drink beer, go have a cocktail, go out to eat, you know.
All of those things. You know what, the one thing that's been missing though, Jason, is the ability to step outside and, drink a cup of coffee in my backyard with my sweats on, because we don't have a porch, we don't have a balcony or a patio or any way to be outside that's not in public. So,
Yeah.
it is that part about walking downtown, you're absolutely right. It's like our backyard. Great, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's the backyard that you need to wear your sweats in, or you need to wear your pants in.
You don't have to wear your pants, Jim. If you don't want to wear your pants, dude, let that freak flag fly and just go out there with
True.
no pants, no pantalones.
But the truth is there's a police station just right down the way, and my brother is a sergeant
Uh,
at that police station, so it would be super awkward at Christmas if it turned out that he had arrested me for being out on the boulevard without pants on. It'd be a great story, I'm sure.
it would be great content. Man charged
Uh,
with illicit, is that how you say it? Illicit behavior?
illicit, maybe?
Illicit behavior. There you go. Walking
Yeah.
around with no pants on. But yeah, as you're
Yeah.
talking about, I think the world is a little broken right now. I think the United States is broken. It's kind of at a point to where it can go two different ways. We could go into full on, you know, war inside these borders, worse than it is now,
Inside and out?
or we can go in a different direction with, having a little more empathy and love for people. And I know it's really hard for people, I'm assuming right now, to even see that with everything that's going on. But I think it's a reality that could happen. We're a resilient country, and I don't know what's your take on that.
I 100% agree on all ends too. I feel like we're kinda broken right now, but at the same time, I feel like those things that are broken still fixable, and that the fix could make us even stronger than any point before, like, I think there's that, Asian art, I think it's Japanese, where it's something like porcelain is broken and they fit it back together with gold, and so you see all the cracks are gold lines. I don't remember what that's called. It becomes a more beautiful thing than it was before it was broken. I still think that that's a possibility. These things,
Hey,
these tools, these things that we've created, right, that we're using right now as weapons, those things could be used for good still, So, like, and the things that have been bad for us, like social media. We've talked about that a lot, right? We can still get ahead of that. There's still time to get ahead of that kind of stuff. You can still use AI to try and figure out how to make a fallow field, fertile rather than bombing it into submission. AI still has, potential to do good for this world, and we have potential to do good with it. But right now, dude, the rate at which things are able to be done badly is accelerating, and it's getting easier, and you can do it with, like, less skin in the game, and, to be quite honest, man, it's just terrifying. But I
Yeah.
do agree with you. Sorry, I brought it down a little lower, but I agree with you that those things that are doing harm right now can still be used to do better. That's my opinion.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. So today we're gonna have guests on the show. Yeah, he's been on before, my buddy Dan Wright. We're gonna talk about there's still positive people in this world. There's still good people in this world.
Mhm.
I myself am sick of all the hatred and talking about, I'm kind of burnt out on talking about all the bad shit that's going on. I would like to talk about some good shit that's going on. Even if it's for one episode. I want to talk about something good. And
So,
Dan's going to come up here in a minute and he's going to jump on with us and we're going to just have a little chat about
mhm.
positivity. And, hopefully people listening to this, if there is anybody who listens to it, we'll get a little bit out of it. If we make one person feel a little bit better about the situation that is happening in this country and in this world, I think that's a good thing. And just like that, there he is, Danny Wright. How you doing,
What's
brother?
happening? Good. Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
great.
How's your day going?
Thanks for showing up and joining us again, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks. It's always fun
Yeah.
hanging out with you guys and BSing for a little bit. So
Excellent. Absolutely.
How was your day, brother?
typical Sunday, I suppose,
Yeah. Yeah.
as little as possible. The weeks give me enough. Yeah. Try
Yeah,
to
because
spend the weekends.
tomorrow's gonna start the worst day of the week is tomorrow, in my opinion. So, for at least for
Monday,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think a lot of people can share that feeling with Mondays.
Yeah.
And sometimes Mondays likes it so much it decides to take on Tuesday as well. So,
Sometimes Wednesday.
yeah, Mondays can have some hang time, and those are
Hey,
always fun.
yeah. So me and Jim were just talking about positivity in the world, and even though I believe that this country's a little bit broken and this world is a little bit broken, I think that there's still, you know, good people out there who can put it back together. So, yeah, what's your take on that?
I believe you're right. It's a matter of you choosing to act and not waiting for somebody else to do it, right? But it's funny because the politics, everybody gets thrown off and they forget about everything else. And you don't have to let something like that dictate how you live your day to day. And individually, we have more power to do things that directly affect yourself and other people than any other lawmaker or somebody that you would see on TV. And I say that because there was a time where I actually did something for somebody and the message that I got back in return was, "Thank you so much." I think it was during the elections or whatnot, but she was like, basically, I get so depressed and stuck in this dark place because of all these things that happen. And it's people like you that remind me that there are still good people out there. And that's the thing. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves and we have to remind others that you can't let the things that are going on around you dictate the type of person that you want to become and the actions that you want to make happen. And it doesn't have to be something significant. It's just, you never know what kind of day somebody's having or what they're carrying. And so just being a thoughtful human being for just 2 seconds could mean the world to somebody. And it's things like that that can have a greater impact on somebody individually than anything else that's going on in this world. Because we can't control what's going on, but what we can control is what we do and how we impact other people. and how you choose to do that and how you choose to be an impact. You know, 'cause if everybody just did one nice thing for somebody, whether it's somebody you know, a stranger or whatever, a day, can you imagine how much nicer things would be? You know, it would be contagious. And it's like you don't think about it, but something little can have the biggest impact on somebody. And I think sometimes you forget about that until you become a recipient to something that somebody may have done for you and you realize the power that just a kind act can carry.
100%. And I think we need more people to think that way. And it's hard. It is a hard thing to do. It's not hard, but it is hard for some people. You know what I mean? To get out there and put themselves out there for someone else.
Right.
I don't know if I I would love I think it's really hard for people to do that.
You know, I agree. And it just like you just gotta let it happen. And I'll give you
Yeah.
a couple examples. There was I was, I was as you know, I was married for a very long time. It was 14 years. I was a stepdad and a husband. And so every holiday for me, it was important that I tried to create that moment for my wife and the kids. And I'm talking, we would do the traditional cooking and just make it as traditional as possible because it was important for me that the kids grew up with that. Right. And so it was really weird because it was the first time I had not had that in 14 years. And I remember I was grocery shopping and it was about, I think it was, yeah, it was Thanksgiving time. And I remember passing by the turkeys and it was weird because it hit me right then at that moment. Like, I'm not buying a turkey this year. It's so weird. Just think about that, but you don't realize it. So instead of walking past them, I just had this urge. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. So I grabbed 3 turkeys and then I went around and literally put together 3 full complete meals with everything that I would have probably have cooked. And I remember in my little apartment complex, I kind of one of those watchers. I kind of people watch, observe. It's just a habit. But I noticed that there was a couple families in my complex that I noticed there wasn't a dad around. So I just assumed that they were single moms. And I thought, you know what? This is who I'm going to give these things to. So I went and put everything together and I went and it took a lot. Trust me, I was nervous because I'm like, what if they get offended? What if this, what if? Like you were saying, the scary part. But I
Yeah.
just said, you know what, I'm going to do this. So I went to the first door and I knocked, and the lady answered, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Please, I just, I want to do this for you. And she started tearing up, and she's like, thank you so much. She's like, ever since I lost my husband, and I'm like, wow. She's like, the kids weren't even going to have dinner here, and she's like, we might actually do it now. And the next day, I walked outside and it was Thanksgiving and I saw the kids' cars parked there. So it tells me they actually had dinner as a family. And the second person, same thing. And actually the message that I was referring to just a couple minutes ago was actually the message that she had sent me after she had gotten everything that I'd given her. She was like, I just want to say thank you so much. She's like, it's times like this, we forget about good people that are out there. And it's people like you that remind me that there still are good people out there. And
Yeah.
it was almost effortless for me. And it just took a matter of throwing some things in a grocery cart and dropping it off to people. It
You know
doesn't
what,
have to be a huge thing.
Dan? You turned it out of your own pain. Yeah, that's pretty
And
remarkable. You did. It was a moment of your pain, and you turned it into something beautiful for someone else. That's
You
awesome.
know, and that's kind of what I told myself. I don't have a family to make the holiday special for this year, but that doesn't mean that I can't make it special for somebody else's family. And that's what I did. And you just have to act, and it meant the world to these people, and that's just it right there. It took me just a few minutes of my time and that's what I did. And then following Christmas, we would always go, and I haven't told anybody this story. There's only one other person that knows this. And because I keep these things to myself, I don't broadcast all my good deeds, you know? It's just something that I wanna do. I don't want recognition. I don't want credit. I don't want to and say what kind of person I am. It's just something that I like to do for others, and just the impact is the reward for me. I don't need anything else, you know. But I remember I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do for Christmas, but
But
every
every
year
year,
we would order a cheesecake from Eileen's out in Brooklyn. I think it's Brooklyn, Hell's Kitchen,
yeah,
Eileen's
Yeah.
Cheesecakes. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to sit home, drink bourbon, and eat some cheesecake. That's what I was going to do for Christmas. And I remember I was ordering it and I looked at the price and it didn't care. But at that moment, it dawned on me that I'm about to spend $120 or $130 or something on a cheesecake. And I thought about it and I'm like, that could be an entire Christmas dinner for a family. I was in the grocery store when I was actually walking through getting ready to order this thing. And instead of doing that, I turned around and I walked over and I got a gift card for the grocery store for the amount that I would have spent on a cheesecake. I stuck it in a Christmas card. And I remember there was my company, it was a joke, but it's actually kind of nice if you need it. They would give out these gift certificates for Honey Baked Ham. So I'm not going to use it. What the fuck am I going to do with it? It's just me. So I stuck it in that Christmas card. And there's somebody that I go to church with, and I knew there was a family that was actually kind of having some difficult times at the time. I went over to the volunteer that I work with, and "Can you give this to this family? Don't tell them who it's from. Just give it to them." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." Again, I was going to spend the money anyways, but instead of spending it on myself, I decided to give it to somebody that I knew was going to probably need it a little bit more than I did. And you know what? I'm sure it helped out. You know what? For that one night, that right there was one less thing that they had to worry about, was having a dinner with their family. And again, it took almost little effort for me to do. And I think that's the point that I'm trying to make, is you can get over the fear of it and realize that it was no big deal at all. And what you just did for that person was a giant deal for them, and put them back into, you know what? There are people here, and who knows what else it could have done for them, but impacting them. That's the biggest thing. We can make an impact, whether whoever you are. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be anything. You can just be a person wanting to do something nice for somebody that probably needed at that moment. And here you come along and you did exactly what God intended on you to do, you know? And that's just it, dude. You just and it could be something big, it could be something small. It doesn't have to be anything significant. And the little things sometimes is what matters the most, you know, and can make the biggest impacts. And we all have that power to do that. You know, I think right now, especially, is a time for us to kind of think about those things and understand that you can't control what's going on in the world. There's a lot of bad things going on right now, but what you can control is what you do, and you can certainly make an impact.
That is the perfect message right there. You can't control what's going on in the world, but you can control yourself. And that doesn't just impact the person you're giving it to, but I'm sure that impacts you as a whole too. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I mean, it could help you if say I'm in a dark place and I go help someone else, that would help me too, I'm assuming. Um and
absolutely. Absolutely.
there is good people out there. Dan is one of them. Like I tell, he's me and Dan have done some dumb shit together, you know. And right now, he is probably one of the most positive men I know in my life. I don't really tell him that. I'm telling him that right now, but he has had an impact on me. You know what? He has made me think about my actions, my thoughts, in some way. Like he'll tell me, we'll talk on the phone, and he makes me think. You know what I mean? He makes me think, and thank you for that. I sometimes I need that. Uh, yeah.
Well,
So
you know, the greatest thing about this is, you know, I do what I can, but at the end of the day, just like everybody else, I am so far from perfect. I
oh,
am an absolute bulldog Monday through Friday. I care about my guys and the people that I work with, and they know that. But at the end of the day, kind of, I can be a lot of things. I drink, I cuss, trust me when I say I am so far from perfect, I've got friends that are like celebrating the sobriety and I'm fucking posting up full glasses of bourbon. You know what I mean? Like, so don't get me wrong. And make no mistake, I am so far from perfect. I'm an absolute mess internally. I don't show it and I don't broadcast it, but that's the thing about doing these things is I'm an absolute disaster, but I can still pull myself together to do these things just like anybody else. And you don't have to have your shit together to be a good person. You just have to be a good person. We're all flawed. There's nobody that's perfect, and anybody
That's
that tells you they are is full of shit.
that's what I was just gonna say. There's no fucking perfect person in this world at all. So
No,
yeah,
and social media really gives this persona of people, and it makes people like think or kind of doubt themselves because all you see are the highlights. Facebook and Instagram are literally like the highlight reels of watching a game on ESPN. You didn't see all the bullshit in between. All you saw was the highlights of the game, like that made it exciting, but nobody saw the couple hours of the most agonizing, boring thing I've ever seen. And that's the way it is. But you have to understand that and you got to kind of just reel yourself in sometimes like, nah, dude, I'm just gonna live my life and that's it. I was always joking around. I'm like, I would love to see somebody instead of posting all the shit that they have, post a late notice on Facebook or post a bill or post a mediocre credit score. I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, so you get this false reality and that's
yeah.
just not the way it is. But at the same time,
It
none of us are perfect.
it's also two-dimensional, right? I mean, there's no subtext there. There's nothing you can't you don't know if somebody is being, sarcastic or cynical or any of that. All you can see are the words as they're written. It's sort of
Hmm.
and it's one of those things that, social media is so dangerous because of that and because of what we've made it be. Same with AI. I was just talking to Jason right before you came on and saying, it's not too late for us to get our hands around these things that we use and use them for more positive reasons. We could put better things into the algorithms ourselves. If we're gonna spend time there, like what you were saying, you could break the algorithm, do something different.
Yeah,
And start with the
absolutely. And and that's really it, break the algorithm, switch it up, and it starts with us, you
yeah,
know, and use it for positive things, you know, and that's just it is you just you got to be the one to make the step. Don't, lead, don't follow, right? Because what are you waiting for? Well, I'm waiting for somebody else to make the move. Why don't you just make the first move? You
yeah,
know?
And that's the hardest part, right? Hardest part is making that first move. I'm sure after that first move is made, it gets easier and easier and easier and easier to where it's nothing, But it's that taking that first step, like you were talking about before, that fear. Like, what if they think I'm a creep? What if this? What if that? What if this? And then you're like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I've had that on countless times that I'm like, what if this happens? Oh, I'm just not going to do it. And instead of just doing it, and what's the worst thing that could happen? You know what I mean? What's the worst that could happen?
yeah,
Hey, fortune favors the bold, right?
Yeah, agreed, agreed. Yeah, I do think the internet does have a lot of good content creators who do a lot of good things, whether it's for clout or not. Yeah, you always see those guys who are like, "Oh, I'm poor. Can I have $1 from some random person?" And then they give them the dollar, and they're like, "Here's $1,000. I just want to see who would give me the dollar first." They're just trying
You
to get
know,
clicks, but they are helping them. They're giving them $1,000. They're doing this. They're doing that. I think those are kind of cool.
I think the good thing about that is whatever their motives are behind the scenes, the internet and society itself seems to be like a trend, right? People start to follow. And if that's what it takes to get other people to do similar
Yep.
things, well
Hmm.
then you know what? It is what it is. It's helping. And anything in a positive direction is a good direction to be in.
Agreed.
That's just it. Like think about the bucket. the ice, what is it, the ice challenge, whatever. How many
ALS,
people
yeah.
did that thing?
Yeah, I did that.
And and that's exactly it. It started out with one person
Yep,
posting a video and it created an entire movement. Now imagine doing that on a different scale,
yep,
and so doing things like that on the internet, yeah, he's doing it for clicks or he's doing it for money, whatever. But look what he's starting. And
Yeah.
he's giving people to think about something to think about they didn't think before, and I'll take it. I'll
yep,
take it. I look at it as a win. It's a positive. At least they're not doing something stupid and harmful. They're doing things to help others. And that's the point. And that's all that really matters. So it's something positive for Pete's sake. We need as much positivity as we can get right now because there's enough of the other stuff out there to drive people the other direction. So if we can bring awareness in any shape or form by content makers or whatever you call them, then you know what, we'll take it because we need it right now. And
Yeah.
and Lord knows the generation watching certainly needs it.
Amen, brother. Amen. I agree with you.
So
Well, you got anything else for us down there, Jimbo?
no, my man, that was great. I was thinking just briefly about a lady in my neighborhood, and during COVID, is what you told me reminded me of this. She she had went through a breakup, right, during COVID when everything was locked down. So she had to deal with this, like, special kinda loneliness, and at a time when she really couldn't even go and see her friends and things like that. And so, she would walk around the neighborhood like the rest of us all would, keeping, 40 feet away from each other and whatnot, and she started making these little hearts, right? And it was easy to do because no one was cleaning the streets and stuff either. So all the foliage that fell down and things that were swept around, they were all there. And she would create these little designs with these hearts. And they became more and more elaborate, and people started recognizing them and taking pictures with them and then posting them up on Facebook. And this huge thing where everybody just loved this little random kind of "I love you" that they would stumble upon, every once in a while. And it's become a permanent thing now. It's a fixture of our town, and people come in and they visit and they, "Oh, look at these little hearts," and now there's a whole story behind it about how this person took her own personal pain and just did this little teeny gesture, which was also mainly probably to help her with her heartache, and it really meant something to everyone else. That's where my head went.
You know, it's funny because that's one of the things that sort of kind of gives me that is all the hurt and the pain that I feel or have felt. And one of the things that I want to do is if I can make somebody not feel the way I feel, then that's what's motivating me to help others and to
Yeah,
make sure that nobody feels the way that I feel. And if you can channel your own hurt into something like that, then, is it a band-aid? Yes, but it's still helping and
yeah,
it certainly makes things feel better, even if it's only temporary. But to make sure that nobody else hurts the way you do. That's one of the motivators for a lot of people. There's a skit that I saw. It's like a podcast, and these two guys were talking about the similarities between the superhero and the villain. And the one thing that they have in common is they were both motivated by pain. So, which are you going to be, the superhero or the villain? You
I
know?
like that. I like that. I think
And
that's a great analogy to end this beautiful
beautiful.
podcast on. Are you going to be the superhero or the villain? Very
yeah.
nice. Dan,
So,
I love you, brother. I really appreciate you being here. And Jim, I love you
Thank
also.
you. Dan, thank you very much, man. It's always a great conversation. I love hearing these stories, and we should have you back on again soon if you're down.
anytime. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys and chat for a minute, especially about things like this.
Let's check back in on what things the 3 of us are doing to try and, put a little bit back into the to break the algorithm, put a little bit back positive into the world. I
Let's
think
do it.
we need to check back in on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
that'd be nice.
nice. I'm
Excellent.
open anytime, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
Dan.
Danny. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
You got it.
Yep.
See you guys.
See
Jay,
ya.
Dan, peace. You guys have a good one.
Yeah,
Cool.
that 20 minutes we spent with Dan, I feel much better already.
Yeah. Though, but on the real though, Jason, there's nothing wrong, and it's so funny because Dan does reveal a little bit about how this comes from his own pain, and that's what motivates him. And you and I are there too. We've got that. We we have pain in our lives that we reflect back on people that we've lost, shit like that. We could put a little bit of good back into the world, man. I've seen us both do it, and I kind of feel, how I feel right now, man. I feel like I'm scared and I'm in a corner. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the way that feels. I can't watch certain things on TV because I'm just so close to that emotional edge, And with me, sometimes that emotional edge isn't the one that's gonna make you cry. It's the one that's gonna make you like beat up doors or get into a stupid fight or something like that because, but yeah, I'm feeling like a little bit like a coward. Like I'm not putting much into the world right now, and the world really does need it.
Well, like you said, I think if you do one thing, one little thing a day, I think that'll help you get out of that rut. I
Well,
know you got a lot going on in your life, family wise, and everything else, and just everything around you. I think if you put one thing out there, and I'm gonna
yeah,
try to start doing, I'm gonna start it tomorrow. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna try to do something every day of the week. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but
I
I'll
think
figure it out once it happens.
the pictures that I
So
post with me and my grandson once a week, that's the one positive thing that I try and put out there every week. I do that, and that is actually me wanting to celebrate my happiness with other people because I really do enjoy that. So
yeah.
wonderful. Anyway,
All
all right, brother,
right.
man.
Well,
We gonna wrap this up.
yeah. Thank you guys for joining us, and
All right.
hopefully we'll have this episode up soon.
Yeah, maybe later tonight. We'll see.
All right. Peace out, brother.
Bye, bro.
Bye.
No, it's not recording anymore. Actually, it is recording. That's crazy. Listen, man, I told you not to eat that mushroom.